The Meteora Season 1 claim goes live on October the 28th, and with that, the Meteora Season 2 airdrop could wrap up quicker than you think. Some people believe it could even end as early as December, and that's why I want to show you a method where you can generate a ton of fees and why it's actually not too late. And I'm going to show you how I've managed to use just 25 Solana to make over $50,000 in fees already for this Season 2. I am talking about Soldecoder and using their copy trading bot, and how with a diversified strategy I was able to generate the max amount of fees possible while also not losing but also coming out with a gain as well. So I'll be showing exactly how I've set this up. Okay, so some context first. The Meteora Season 1 airdrop wrapped up and it had a FDV which is predicted at around 1 billion as what people think it will start as. And as we know, every 1,000,000 points, which equals about $10,000 in fees, is targeted to pay out for the 2025 season, not 2024, for around $88. And this is quite a significant amount if you are able to generate a lot of fees. And with what I mentioned at the start, where if you can generate $50,000 in fees with whatever balance and you don't actually take a loss, with the current values, of course, these are going to be much different for Season 2. But for Season 1, that would equal in the 2025 about over $4,000 if we predict, a $1 billion FDV, which is still a huge amount. And as we know, one of the best ways to qualify is generating as much fees as possible, and it will be similar for Season 2, although there is more ways to qualify. And one of the best ways to do this is copy trading. So this is where we're finding wallets and we're basically completely mimicking the positions which they are creating, but using our own ratio of liquidity, maybe with some more features. But what I'm suggesting is, instead of copying one person, where you have the risk of you're not diversified. If they take a big loss, you take a big loss. And in general, copy trading is risky. Even when they're winning, you could lose. What I'm suggesting is a diversified strategy where instead of copying one wallet, you're copying potentially up to 5, maybe even more, each with a lower percent of your liquidity. So you're able to enter the maximum amount of positions possible, as many hours in the day as possible, and overall to generate as much fees as possible. Be diversified and hopefully even make a gain. We can even diversify across different strategies from the people we're copying, and also different risk appetites from these people. Now, first of all, to get started, you're going to need your copy trading bot for Meteora. Now, I'm not going to go into specifics and show you the exact setup. I already have videos covering all of these, but for this video, I will be using Soldecoder. It has very good integration with Meteora and extremely good risk parameters, and you can also copy up to 4 wallets extremely smoothly. But other than that, we do have LP Agent, which I made a video on. I have used a lot. It works well. You can copy multiple wallets, and we also have Met Engine, where you can do the same and copy multiple wallets. And I'm not sponsored, but I believe I have a link I can put into the description where you can use it, and you do have to pay a small monthly fee or get the NFT, and you can gain access to this bot. And they do have a lot of other cool bots released as well. But in the end, I have a spreadsheet, of you kind of, to be honest, over 100 wallets, can be quite a lot. But, this is just kind of a database, and I use it to help inform my general LP as well. Okay, now I have up my list of wallets. It's probably going to be blurred, but basically there's a few different categories I would put them in, and this is just what I use. So what I have is one wallet which goes kind of more aggressive, and they do a tight range position. These are typically going to either yield really good results or really bad results. You're generally going to get a decent amount of fees, but it's quite easy to lose money. These people might rotate wallets, but I do have one of these in my kind of rotation of 4 which I have. Next, I have one that does really wide bid-ask curves, so I'll just pull up this spreadsheet with some number examples go through in a minute. But this does wide positions on new coins, so they're still entering kind of 20, 30, up to 50 positions a day, maybe, or higher on these same coins, but they go really wide, and they normally go for a smaller percent of the fee, but they go in with a larger balance. Then someone that does multi-days with a large balance, but they normally enter a small position each coin. And then one other, which you can, to be honest, decide what you want. And I've set up this spreadsheet just to kind of demonstrate as an example. So let's say I have 20 Solana, which is fairly accurate to what I have on right now. Then we've got this one wallet that goes aggressive. They enter their whole 1 Solana balance into every position. And they only ever have this one position open. That's their whole balance. And we're going to want to copy this person probably with around 100% of our balance. It's a very small amount. Maybe they're going for 50% gains weekly, very aggressive. But we can generate a decent amount of fees, from this with relatively low risk. You're only going to lose maybe 1 Solana if they nuke. Then we have maybe a few other kinds of wallets. We have a wallet that has a 20 Solana balance. Every position they enter has around 10 Solana. And they only ever really have one position open though. It's on the main coin, their DLMing. They go wide, they're pretty safe. And we know that they're generally not going to lose their position. And you can kind of see all of this from the LP agent stats. So I've pulled up a wallet as an example. It's very green. They've got these wins. They actually had a lot more Solana at one point. But what they do is they only really enter a few positions a day, get some really kind of loads of small wins and just stack them all up. And, I kind of figured out what each kind of trading each wallet was doing. And as I showed earlier, categorized them different. And then I've got my wallet, which has a large balance. They enter loads and loads of positions with a very small balance. And they help us stack those multi-day points, and they're pretty safe. So we kind of have 2 safer wallets, 2 maybe more risky wallets. And I just set this up to try and demonstrate what this looks like, how you would decide your percent for each one. This is the percent of our pool, and we obviously never want that above 100%. To be honest, we probably want it way below 100%. But this shows, and this is what you have to figure out yourself, is what kind of balance do these people have in total in their wallet? What's kind of their average entry size per position? Again, you can use the normal formula where you look at, I have a 10 Sol balance, they have 100, if they enter with 10 Solana, I always want to use 10% of their balance. And that's fine. You are going to want to keep all that in mind. Some people have a large balance and never even use half of it. That's when you're going to want to adjust your kind of 10% copying in that example, maybe to something like 20 or 30%. Then we have the average entry size they go in with. Again, this is just for reference, just so for this example of demonstrating. Then how many positions they have open at the time. And what all of this does is, if I do a calculation, we can see on average how much do these people have deployed at one time when they're actively DLMing. And we have a 20 Sol balance. We can see this number is only 37. But even though their total balances add up to a lot, actively LPing is these 4 wallets only have 37. And what that means we can do is we're actually able to copy most of their position rather than just doing a 20% ratio. We could actually have that almost, about 50% there. We're still nearly not above our port. So if I kind of adjust 50% as well, 90%, we can see that we're actually now quite close to, we're below that 100% now. And that's because we have 20 Solana, there's 37 Solana active with what these 4 wallets normally LP within a day. And we can't quite copy all of it, but if we copied 50% of all this guy's positions, unless he goes crazy and opens loads extra than normal, we're actually going to be able to utilize all our Solana to the maximum efficiency. So every day we have loads of positions closing, generating loads of fees, and hopefully in the end, we're not losing. Hopefully we're gaining. Even if some win and some lose, it balances all out in the end. As even if you find 4 green wallets, very rare, they are actually always profitable. I'm sure as soon as you copy, some will start going red. Now on my screen is a wallet which I have, and as you can see, we have actually generated in the 3-month period, so not even the entire period, around 210 Solana in fees. Currently is over $40,000, probably a bit less when generated. You can see, although we have actually been profitable, we've actually made a bit under 20 Solana, I feel, but we've made, a good 10, 20 Solana. We've also managed to generate a ton of fees. And even if I go to the 1 month period, even though the profit is only 3 Solana for the month, wallet, overall, we have generated over 44 Solana in fees. And if your focus is airdrop farming and generating a lot of fees, this is quite an effective way to do it. And this is diversified with around 3 wallets most of the time. And also my balance on this, is around 40-50. But to be honest, actively LPing, it never went above 20. So, I could actually be a lot more kind of efficient with this. But again, greater risk. I do actually end up taking a lot of losses. This wallet was negative for a while as well. So back to the bot, once you have followed a wallet, you've given them a label and pasted the address, you've gone to wallet settings, then you found your wallet, you've clicked on edit settings for that wallet. You can see this edit DLM size and ratio. This is important. You're going to want to set your size ratio, which I just showed the example of what you could do, and the maximum trade size in Solana. I normally don't have this either. And then again, go to your advanced wallet settings, and this is where you can set those kind of minimum token age, market cap. As you can see, all of mine are pretty low as well. So now I've covered all that, we can get on to, first of all, just setting up the bot and what you're going to want to do. Then a little bit on picking wallets, but not too much. And then how to actually calculate and set up your kind of ratios for how you're wanting to allocate to these different wallets. So first of all, I do have a video on setup, so I'm not going to go over it, but commands, export your wallet, your private key, and then you'll be able to go to the dashboard. The first thing you'll want to do is, all of this is personal preference. So everything from here on out is pretty much personal preference. I'm just going to show what I have. First of all, there's a lot of settings in Soldecoder. They can get a bit confusing. First of all, I have a lot of these kind of turned off. So auto close bundled tokens, manage ignored token, stop loss rug check, take profit. I do not have any of these set up. I don't want a stop loss. I actually leave it up a lot to the wallets I follow. Some people like having a stop loss, and basically what this does is, if the token's for 50%, the person you're copying doesn't close out, it will for you anyway. I leave all of this. After that, the main thing is following wallets and setting up the ratios. And other than that, you can set certain settings for different wallets, where you might want to only enter tokens above a certain market cap or volume or Jupiter score. Again, I have all of these settings changed to the default values. You can see how this is done again on my. A very basic way I would find some wallets, and again, I've covered all the strategy, is to go on the home screen of any kind of token screen. I've got Axiom up here, but you can also go on to Fabric and actually trending pools and load these up. I'll just look at the token, and this is just me and how I've done it. Copy the ticker, and I head over to Solana scan. I head over to Meteora, go to pools, paste that, and I find the pools associated with this. I can see there's only one. Then I'm going to copy this pool over Sol scan, load that up, go to DeFi transactions, actions, add liquidity, maybe add a minimum value and a maximum value depending on what I'm looking for, and then copy some of these transactions. Actually, you probably won't remember, but you can use add liquidity. Then I'm going to head over to Metlex, load this up, see how the wallet does. Also check some of the wallets on LP Agent, and I'm basically going to find the wallets I want to look at. But there's loads of ways, tons of different styles of wallets you can find. I don't want to cover that too much. It would probably take ages. That's pretty much all I wanted to cover. I guess just to end out, of course, it is possible to take big losses doing this. Copy trading was very popular. It became pretty controversial. I think a lot of people that were doing it probably kind of stopped all that they were doing as it got, DL in general got harder. But it's still, doing all of this, it is a bit controversial. If you're this more diversified as well, copying multiple people, you're not just copying one person, copying exactly what their balance is either. So you're not, having as big an impact on a single person.